Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Town of Fairhaven's Memorial Services for 2019. I'm your announcer, Mark Sylvia, the Fairhaven Town Moderator, and momentarily the parade will be coming right by here on Main Street as it makes its way down to Riverside Cemetery. The Memorial Day services began during the week of May 19th to May 26th when veteran organizations decorated the graves of the fallen here in Fairhaven. This morning at 7 a.m. there was a flag raising at Fort Phoenix, and the Memorial Day Parade is the next activity in our Memorial Day observance. After the parade at Riverside Cemetery, there will be a memorial service as well, so you're invited to go and participate. In a moment, when the parade comes through, we'll be announcing each one of the divisions and each one of the organizations that's marching in the parade. I also want you to know that the Fairhaven High School Marching Band will stop in the middle of the intersection and play the national anthem while the Lions Club of Fairhaven raises the American flag in front of the high school. So we're going to begin the program momentarily. Thank you all so much for being here. We appreciate you being here in Fairhaven to join us in honor of all of our fallen soldiers. As our parade approaches, I do want to acknowledge the parade marshal for our Memorial Day service, Richard Ryle, the commander of the American Legion Post 166, the chief of staff for the parade, Jeff Cardoza, commander of the Veterans of Foreign Wars Post 2892, and the Parade and Memorial Services Committee, Richard Ryle, Jeff Cardoza, Kathleen Clement, members of the VFW Post 2892, American Legion Post 166, and the VFW Auxiliary. Leading off our Memorial Day Parade in the 1st Division, the Fairhaven Police Department, Police Chief Michael Myers, the Police Color Squad, and the line of policemen. Thank you to the Fairhaven Police Department for keeping us safe. Following the police department is our parade marshal, Richard Ryle, commander, American Legion Post 166. The officer of the day, George Brownell. Active military reserve units, the Massachusetts National Guard unit. Chief of Staff, Jeff Cardoza. Commander of the Veterans of Foreign Wars Post 2892. Color Squad, all invited VFW posts and their auxiliaries. Next up is the Fairhaven High School Band. The high school band is going to stop here and play the national anthem as we raise the American flag. Thank you to the Fairhaven Lions Club, and another round of applause for the Fairhaven High School Marching Band. Following the Fairhaven High School Marching Band is the Fairhaven Lions Club. Thank you for your service to the community, Fairhaven Lions Club. And a new addition to the parade this year, the George H. Tabor Lodge of the Freemasons. Thank you for participating in today's parade. Next up, we have Fairhaven town officials. Charlie Murphy, Chairman of the Board of Selectmen, Bob Espindola, Member of the Board of Selectmen, Mark Reese, our Town Administrator, and our State Representative, Bill Strauss. Next up is the Fairhaven Elementary School Combined Band, representing Wood School and East Fairhaven Elementary School. These students all come together for the Memorial Day Parade to celebrate. Following the elementary school's band is the Fairhaven Village Militia. Thank you to the Fairhaven Village Militia. Next up is the Hastings Middle School Band. Following the middle school band is Pack 52 from Fairhaven, as well as Troop 52. Following Troop 52 is Troop 55. Thank you to our Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts. Thank you, Troop 52 and Troop 55. Following the Boy Scouts is the Fairhaven Public School String Program.
Stand with you guys?
Yep. Do you know who that is?
You know. What they did is what we should have done, and we're going to do that. See, we didn't know. I didn't know they were going to do that.
I don't think they were. They told me. And now we're going to hear from the Fairhaven, and they stopped. So.
Yeah. Oh, I got to talk to the parade committee. They can do what they did, though.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, that was good. Thank you for your service. Following the U.S. Army truck is the Fairhaven Council on Aging. Following the Fairhaven Council on Aging is the Fairhaven Fire Department. Chief Tim Francis, line of firemen, and the muster team. Thank you so much to the Fairhaven Fire Department for keeping us safe. Following the line of firemen are Engine 4, Ladder 1, looks like it reminds me of the brush breakers that we had. And, yeah. Yeah. It's not though. What it is. And here comes old engine number 3, driven by retired firefighter John Rogers and his grandson.
Hi, Gary. Hi.
Next up is Engine 4. And bringing up the line is Fairhaven's Emergency Management Services. Whenever there's a natural disaster or another emergency, EMS is there to protect our properties and our health. Thank you to EMS. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the Memorial Day Parade. Again, the next activity is the memorial service at Riverside Cemetery. Enjoy this beautiful day and make sure you stop and think of our fallen soldiers at some point during the day and honor their memory. Thank you on behalf of the town of Fairhaven.
Wyatt. Hi, Steve.
No bet. I'm gonna do a better work this year. You're welcome, brother.
Green is hot. There it goes. Oh, they changed. Follow. Over here. Not over there. This side over here. Yeah, on this side.
I'm not the other. Hey, over here.
Stay in the shade. Oh, stay in the shade. Very good.
We are in the shade.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't know. Oh, so. I didn't know if you were staying for very good.
Good morning. My name is George Brownell, Staff Sergeant, Sergeant of Arms, 2892 Post VFW. I'd like to welcome everybody to the 151st Memorial Day services. I'd like to take a moment right now today to remember the men and women that left the safety of their homes and moved overseas, not knowing if they were going to return. God bless them all. Thank you. Our opening prayer will be Reverend Bette McClure, First Congregation. Uncover!
As we gather together in the beauty of this place, as we gather to remember and to give thanks, let us draw our spirits together. In the quiet sanctuaries of our own hearts, let each of us name and call on the one whose power over us is great and gentle, firm and forgiving, holy and healing. You who created us, who sustains us, who calls us to live in peace, hear our prayer this day. Hear our prayer for those who gave their lives in the service of others, and accept the gift of their sacrifice. Hear our prayer for those who put the welfare of others ahead of their own, and give us hearts as generous as theirs. Hear our prayer for all who have died, whose hearts and hopes are known to you alone. Help us to shape and make a world where we will lay down the arms of war and turn our swords into plowshares for a harvest of justice and peace. Comfort those who grieve the loss of their loved ones, and let your healing be the hope in our hearts. Hear our prayer this day, and in your mercy answer us in the name of all that is holy. So may it be. So may it be. Amen.
Recall. The reading of General Logan's orders by Selectman Charles Mercy.
On behalf of Selectman Espandola, Selectman Freitas, our Town Administrator Mark Reese, and Representative William Strauss, we wish you all a very happy Memorial Day. General Orders Number 11. Headquarters, Grand Army of the Republic, Washington, D.C., May 5, 1868. The 30th day of May, 1868, is designated for the purposes of strewing the flowers or otherwise decorating the graves of comrades who died in defense of the country during the late rebellion, and whose bodies now lie in almost every city, village, hamlet, and churchyard in the land. In this observance, no form or ceremony is prescribed, but posts and comrades will, in their own way, arrange such fitting services and testimonials of respect as circumstances may permit. We are organized, comrades, as our regulations tell us, for the purpose, among other things, of preserving and strengthening those kind and fraternal feelings which have bound together the soldiers, sailors, and Marines who united to suppress the late rebellion. What can aid more to assure this result than by cherishing tenderly the memory of our heroic dead, who made their breasts a barricade between our country and its foes. Their soldier lives were the reveal of freedom to erase and change, and their deaths the tattoo of the rebellious tyranny in our arms. We should guard their graves with sacred vigilance, and all the consecrated wealth and taste of the nation can add to their adornment and security. It is but a fitting tribute to the memory of her slain defenders. Let no wanton foot tread rudely on such hallowed grounds. Let pleasant paths invite the coming and the going of the reverent visitors and fond mourners. Let no vandalism or avarice or neglect, no ravage of time, testify to the present or to the coming generations that we have forgotten as a people the cost of a free and undivided republic. If other eyes grow dull and other hands slack, and other hearts cold in the solemn trust, ours shall keep it well, as long as the light and warmth of life remains in us. Let us then, at the time appointed, gather around sacred remains, and garland the passionless mounds above them with the choicest flowers of springtime. Let us raise above them the dear old flag that saved from dishonor. Let us in this solemn presence renew our pledges to aid and assist those who have left among us as sacred charges upon the nation's gratitude, the soldiers and sailors, widow and orphan. It is the purpose of the Commander-in-Chief to inaugurate this observance, with a hope that it will be kept up from year to year, while a survivor of the war remains to honor the memory of his departed comrades. He earnestly desires the public press to call attention to this order, and to lend its friendly aid in bringing it to the notice of the comrades in all parts of the country, in time for simultaneous compliance therewith. Department commanders will use every effort to make this order effective. By order of John A. Logan, Commander-in-Chief.
Thank you, Selectman Murphy. We now have a music selection by the First Congregational Community Chorus. Thank you. I would now like to welcome Noah Barton, Senior Class President for Fairhaven High School, for the reading of the Gettysburg Address. Noah.
Fourscore and 7 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty, and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation, or any nation so conceived and so dedicated, can long endure. We are met on a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those who here gave their lives that this nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. But, in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men, living and dead, who struggled here have consecrated it, far above our poor power to add or detract. The world will little know, nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here. It is for us, the living, rather to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who had fought here have thus far so nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here, dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion. That we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from this earth.
Thank you, Brad. The Fairhaven High School Band will now play the Battle Hymn of the Republic. Thank you. I would now like to welcome Staff Sergeant Marine Brad Fish, our new Veterans Officer, who has done an outstanding job. Brad.
Good morning, everybody. Some of you may know me. I'm the Fairhaven Veteran Service Officer, Brad Fish. I am a 23-year veteran of the United States Marine Corps and U.S. Army. I am the 4th generation military, and my 2 sons, Sean and Brandon, are our 5th generation military for our family. Thank you for being here today. I am deeply honored to stand with you, commemorating the sacrifices of those military men and women who have laid down their lives in service to this nation. I would like to take a moment and acknowledge any of those among us who have lost a loved one in the line of duty to this country. It doesn't matter how much time has passed, no words of condolence can even begin to adequately console the survivor's grief. Let me just say that I have the greatest respect and appreciation for those contributions and sacrifices, and we are proud to honor them today. On Memorial Day, we often find ourselves reflecting on those individuals who so bravely and instinctively risked their life and limb in the face of grave danger. It is, of course, fitting today that we remember the valiant actions of more than 600 Medal of Honor recipients, those who selflessly sacrificed their lives in an attempt to save their comrades in arms. These individuals, and so many like them, live on as some of the most courageous heroes in our history. Those in the military and veteran communities know that we must ensure these individuals are never forgotten, and that their actions stay alive in our memories. But for most veterans, it is the men and women who served alongside you throughout their service and sacrifice for others. As heroes in our hearts forever, while few received the nation's highest honor, many gave their lives in uniform, and many more were taken from us after as a result of injuries or illnesses contracted in service. I personally have lost 4 friends while I was serving on active duty in helicopter crashes, and they are a constant reminder to me of the sacrifice Americans are willing to take for this great nation. People like 19-year-old Marine Lance Corporal Matthew Rodriguez, who was killed in action December 2013 in Afghanistan's Helmand province and a Fairhaven resident. Or mother of 3 Army Specialist Katrina Bell Johnson, who was killed in February 2005 in a vehicle accident in Iraq. Or Army First Lieutenant Sharon Ann Lane, who died from shrapnel wounds in June 1969 when the 312th Evacuation Hospital in Vietnam was hit by rockets. Or Army Corporal Melvin Randall Hill, who was 19, killed in the Battle of the Chosin Reservoir in Korea in December 1950. Of the million-plus men and women who have died in American military service, the vast majority are those so-called everyday heroes. They are brothers and sisters who fought alongside us, who have felt unfillable holes in families, communities, and hearts across this country. Their friendships, their bravery, and their commitment to duty will never be lost. The men and women who have given their lives in service to this nation are our heroes. When the country called, they answered. Some volunteered and some volunteered told to go. But no matter how they found their way into the ranks of the military, each took it upon him or herself to serve faithfully and to their fullest. This is a nation where so few among our citizens have donned the uniform and accepted the inherent risk. And this alone makes them heroes worthy of remembrance. I would ask, as you leave here and go about the rest of your day, to keep the fallen in your minds and keep their families and friends in your heart. For it is their immense collective sacrifices that have helped keep our country safe and free. Thank you.
Senior Chief Larry Jones will read the VFW Post 2892 War Memorial.
Joseph Alves, United States Army. Wayne Vieira, United States Army.
Thank you, Senior Chief. I'd like to invite the selectmen to come up for the reading of our fallen. The honor roll: Robert Espindola, Daniel Freitas, and Charles Murphy. Thank you.
Veterans who served in the United States Air Force: George Carl Baden, Robert Leon Kaur, Gerald Craig, Daniel A. Foto, Ralph Giosa Jr., Wilford E. Hebert, John Patrick McGowan Jr., Joseph Soares. Veterans who served in the United States Army: Manuel Mauricio Braga Jr., Joseph G. Camacho Jr., Richard Anthony Chacon, George Correa Jr., Lionel L. DeLude, Harold J. Dusso, Joseph Fernandez, Thomas Fleming, George Correa Jr., George Edward Hawkins Sr., James V. Henry Jr., John Paul Houdin, Kenneth James Inman, James Medeiros, Robert E. Newitt, Frederick Phillip, James C. Palamas, George Pombo, Armando Prenda, Joseph F. Raposa Jr., John E. Reese, Daniel Santiago Rios, Suzanne Butler Robertson, Robert Rocha, Lionel Rene Rochefort, Benny P. Sims, Gil Silvera Soto Jr., Leslie D. Trott Jr., Ronald Reddy Williams. For our veterans serving in the Army and Air Force, Frederick Catterall. For our veteran who served in the United States Coast Guard, Joseph E. A. Goulet. For our veterans that served in the United States Marines, Frank E. Cooper, Norris J. Drew, Ralph J. Saulnier, Walter S. Vieira. And for our veterans that served in the United States Navy, Richard Atherton, Harry H. Bedient, Joseph Urbano Cardoza Sr., Raul Anthony Cardoza Jr., Henry E. Gordon, Edmund R. Hebert, John Paul Jardin, Joseph J. Jesus Jr., John Henry Kennedy, Andrew L. Connorth Jr., Edward B. Laughlin, Oliver Edward Moreau Sr., James Edward Petty, John M. Silva, Joseph Henry Valentine.
Thank you. We'll now have a music selection by the Congregational Choir. Companies, attend, up! Present, halt! Recall. And now a closing prayer, Beth McClure. Thank you.
On a day such as this, I remember my own father, who served in the Pacific during World War II and again in the Korean War. The thing I remember most about him is how every year he bought me a poppy, and I proudly wore it for days and days. I still have a poppy in my car, even though he's long been gone. So as my closing prayer, I would like to share the well-known poem In Flanders Fields. I had the honor of not visiting Flanders Fields Cemetery, but 2 other American cemeteries in Belgium and France, and was very moved by them. In Flanders Fields, the poppies blow between the crosses, row on row, that mark our place, and in the sky the larks, still bravely singing fly, scarce heard amid the guns below. We are the dead. Short days ago we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders Fields. Take up our quarrel with the foe. To you from failing hands we throw the torch. Be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders Fields. Shalom, Pacem, Shanti, peace. Let peace come in 1,000 tongues and a myriad of languages. May we renew ourselves, O God, in that lifelong quest for the impossible dream of your realm come on earth, as it is in the heaven of our dearest wishes, fondest hopes, and heartfelt prayers. So may it be. So may it be. Amen.
I'd like to thank everyone for their attendance today and your show of support for our veterans. I'd like to give a special shout out for our responders. First and foremost, Police Department, Fairhaven Fire Department. Thank you so much for your service. Today we remember the fallen. Good memories for some, poor memories for others. The veterans that stand with me today, everybody knew somebody that passed. God bless them all. After the ceremony, we'll be having a buffet at 11 o'clock at the VFW 2892 on Middle Street. I want to thank you again for your attendance and a wonderful job. Thank you so much. Number 8, 10 hook. Dismiss.